What's good, everybody? It's Big Game James, man. I'm back in the building, and we talking that playoff loss. We talking my thoughts, and we talking about a divorce to me that has to happen, or it's going to be the same thing. So let's just talk about the game right quick. I didn't go live yesterday. That's how big the game was. I was supposed to go live, but I was so deep into it mentally, I didn't even go live. I didn't tweet the whole time until the very end. Because that's how much that game meant to me. I ain't gonna lie, I was ready to drink some Kool-Aid. I had the Kool-Aid pitcher, having Boothang made the Kool-Aid pitcher up. I was geeked because I really felt like we were gonna beat them San Francisco 49ers. I really believed it. And we should have, okay? We definitely should have won that game. Frustrating to say the least that it happened, but hey, it is what it is. So just to talk about the game right quick and, my thoughts, and then we'll talk about Dak Prescott, because some people was kind of coming at me and challenging me, which I don't really care, because I'll definitely meet whatever challenge you have to come at me with. But it was frustrating because they really scored, one touchdown, and that was only because of a penalty. Because if you remember, there was that third down, and DeMarcus Lawrence, all of them got that sack, and they were going to kick another field goal. So really, it should have been 15 instead of 19. 5 field goals. Damn, Dallas, y'all did your job. I got to give a big clap, a hand clap to Dan Quinn in these playoffs. He did his damn thing. I don't know if he's heading off into the sunset, going away, but I asked, hey, if you getting ready to go coach somewhere else, show your ass in this game so these teams can know, and you showed it. I mean, you did a great job. The defense did a great job. I'm a defensive guy. The defense was losing its way toward the end of the season, but you got it right back together. Great win against the Bucks. Great defensive effort against the Niners. I mean, what can you say? I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. They kept Dallas in it, just like they did last year against San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco had 23 points, but they weren't just killing us. Garoppolo was struggling in that second half. That defense played some good ball. Offense is another story. I mean, we saw it. I don't really know what to say about it. It's just, I might as well just go ahead and address it now. I made some tweets yesterday, and I posted on my community page. I made some tweets about Dak. I gave Dak's scouting report in college, and I said I still see him after year 7 doing some of those same things. Some people challenged me on that. I still do. And if you don't think or you want to see those, go on my Twitter handle at Big Game James or Yates James, Big Game James. Go look at the scouting report. It's just what I feel. I sent this scouting report to Boss last year, and I asked him, do you still see some of these things? I'm not going to tell you what we talked about, but I sent this same stuff to him over a year ago, like 6 months ago. Okay? So this wasn't some new thing. So when people try to say, look at you, you was all on Dak, a week before, you know what I'm saying? And now look at you this week. Okay, well, first of all, I remember Dak saying here in Cowboys land, you're only good as your last game. And your last game sucked. So what you want me to say? Okay? You know what I mean? I made a video a month ago, and I said, Dak is a quarterback can take the Dallas Cowboys to the playoffs. I'm not running away from that. He ain't no guy that's going to put everybody on his back and take us to the Super Bowl. No, I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? I thought a little bit of that maybe his rookie year or something like that, but no, I don't believe that. I don't believe he's the type of quarterback that can put a team on his back and carry it. No, I don't. I don't believe that. I was saying last year, he got to get better with his passing. Okay? So these things that I said yesterday weren't out of no frustration, weren't out of no anger. I said everything I tweeted, I meant. Okay? So that doesn't take my love away. Nowhere did I say Dak was trash. Nowhere did I say I want Dak traded. Nowhere did I say move on from him. I didn't say none of that. I said what I felt. He can't carry a team. I believe that. He can't carry a team. No, he can't. He needs weapons. He needs ultimate weapons. He's just not a guy. And yesterday proved it. Okay, we understand that Michael Gallup was goofy on that route. We get that. I mean, that was uncalled for. But, I didn't get to watch the tape. But why'd you throw it? Was it a timing route? You just came and thought, and you saw him break, and I don't know. The second interception, we understand the concept. Kellen Moore with the goofy concept. It's 2nd and 2. I think Tony Pollard had just went out with the broke ankle, I believe. And we all know the offense changed, and a lot of us felt it was over once Tony Pollard got hurt. Well, look, can we not say that? We all thought it was over. But it was 2nd and 2. You didn't need to have to go spread. You could have just got the first down, live another day. You had 1:43 left to go in the second quarter. You got to get points right here. It's 6-6. We can take the lead. You see, Maher was 2 for 2 on the field goals, and that's what I knew. I knew Maher would miss extra points, but I knew he would make field goals. I said that last week against Tampa Bay. Watch him miss watch him miss extra points, but make field goals. That's just what field goal kickers do, man. I don't know. That's just what they do. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have lost them points. So, yeah, it was a weird play call on 2nd 2 spread. I don't get it. Why couldn't you audible it out of that deck? I don't know. Sorry if you see that light in my eyes. Don't pay attention to that. I'm seeing it. Don't pay attention to that. But why didn't you audible out of it? You have free reign to do that, don't you? So maybe you could have audible out of it. But at the end of the day, I was hearing, oh, CD thought this and Dak thought this. Man, we done heard that enough times. CD was thinking this and that. Y'all got to be on the same page. And at the end of the day, you should have never threw that ball. You a quarterback and you know better. You know it's 2nd and 2, 1:43, about to be the half. We need to secure points no matter what. That is like the golden rule. You don't lose the points right here. So if you got to throw it out of bounds, run. He had an avenue where he could have ran for at least a couple yards. Had a blocker right in front of him. I think he could have ran for the first down. That was just a bad pass, and it didn't turn into 7, but it turned into 3, 9-6, and it gave them momentum. And whenever they got a lead, it just felt like when they got a lead, it was like, oh boy. When they got up by 7, I just felt like, damn, are we gonna come back? And I'll be feeling like that with Dak. Just my personal opinion. When we get down, I feel like, man, are we gonna come back? Because I don't have confidence in Dak sometimes. When we're down 10 or 14, that we're going to come back and win the game. I'm sorry, I don't. That's just me. He's not a guy I feel like can throw us back in the game. I don't feel that. I feel like he's got to have the balance. And since Kellen Moore came in here, since 2019, he's been pass happy. I think he came in at 2019 as the coordinator, I believe, and he averaged 37 pass attempts. His pass attempts went up. Right after Kellen Moore became the offensive coordinator, his pass attempts went up to 37. 2020, they were 44. 2021, I think they went back down to 37. And this year, they were back to where they usually were, like around 32, 33. So we know Kellen Moore is pass happy. But at the end of the day, Dak, you just got to play better. You know what I'm saying? Brock Purdy. Bro, he looked like a 7th rounder. He didn't do nothing special in that game. Nothing. That defense was all over him. Christian McCaffrey had 35 yards rushing, 3 yards a carry. Deebo Samuel, he was a non-factor. George Kittle's had 5 catches for like 95 yards, but one of them catches was a miracle catch. So it's not like they dominated us offensively. They gave him simple routes, simple schemes to make simple plays and don't turn the ball over. Why couldn't Dak do that? Why couldn't Kellen Moore do that? Why couldn't Dak do that? And why when Tony Pollard went out, it was almost like, okay, now you see why you don't need to have Zeke no more. And everybody, we always got to apologize to Zeke. I'm sorry, Zeke. No, I don't got to apologize to no Ezekiel Elliott, dog. It's the way of the world. You feel me? Like, it's the way of the world. Like, after a certain amount of time, it might be your time. It ain't no hate on no Zeke, but we see when Pollard went out, the Niners didn't fear no Ezekiel Elliott. Teams don't fear Ezekiel Elliott no more. They don't. And I don't think a lot of teams fear Dak Prescott. I hear a lot of defensive coordinators when they go against Dak say he's a good quarterback, but we ain't fearing him. How many times have I heard that? So I'm just saying these guys have already said this kind of stuff in the streets, not me. Your teammates were frustrated. Michael Parsons said, hey, we did everything we were supposed to do. We locked them down. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuels, nothing. We held them to 1 touchdown. They shouldn't even got that because of the penalty. But guess what? Offense didn't hold it down in them 2 interceptions. So Ron Kurtz said there's no way we should have lost that game. That was a winnable game. So obviously the defense felt that same way too. Feel me? So I just feel like, when I hear people saying, oh, Dallas just need to get more weapons. Man, how many more weapons? Like, I know CeeDee Lamb, he had a career year, and Noah Brown wasn't nothing to speak about. I already said that. I already said you didn't need to get a number 2, and you shouldn't have wasted on Michael Gallup with that injury. But at the end of the day, you still had some talent in the tight end group. You had talented running backs. I mean, your TP was your most explosive player, and he was explosive all year. Yeah, the line wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Terrence Steele, he was damn good until he got hurt. Tyler Smith played pretty good. Tyler Biadasz had a career year, and Zach Martin was all-pro again. Connor McGovern was serviceable. So I don't think that line was trash and terrible when they were talking about pass pro, and we had the 7th best rushing game in the league. Was like in 3rd in sacks given up. So it wasn't that terrible of a line. CeeDee Lamb had career numbers. You know what I'm saying? The running backs almost had career years together, almost had 2,000-yard rushers. So I can't hear that it was just void of talent, okay? We had a talented team on offense and defense. Didn't have the depth maybe like the defense did, but we had talent. So I don't want to hear the excuse that Dallas didn't have no talent, and all of a sudden Dallas got to get even more talent to make it better. I mean, is that what we think of Dak Prescott as the quarterback then? Because he was paid to be a franchise quarterback. You feel me? That's all I'm saying. That's the truth. He was paid to be a franchise quarterback. So if one of these guys go down, one of these top players go down, it should be on the top quarterback to be able to say, hey, I got this, put this on my back, and I'll be able to do this. But when it comes down to that time, I don't see Dak doing it. Too many times, he just don't do it. And I honestly don't believe at times when we're down or if it's game on the line and he could take us all the way down the field and win. Yeah, he did that against the Texans. It was the Texans. He didn't do that against Green Bay, didn't do it against Jacksonville. And like I said, this ain't no hate campaign. This is just what I feel. I still mess with Dak. I still love Dak. But I'm going to also see what Dak really is. Dak is what y'all see Dak right now, that's what Dak is. I said Dak is peaked. In my opinion, he ain't going to get no inordinately better. I just don't believe he's going to just get so much better. No, after 7 years, and he's still doing some of the same things after 7 years. Y'all can't tell me. And then when you call it out, now you a hater. You was all on Dak the week. Yeah, because he balled out. You beat Tampa Bay, you slayed the Dragon, but Tampa Bay was not a good team. We were supposed to beat Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was 8-9. Brady was 45. They had the worst rushing league in the game. A makeshift offensive line. The only thing that was helping them was really their defense, and Vita Vea and them guys just came back. You know what I mean? So that should have been an ass kicking. But when the white lights were the brightest, it didn't happen. And I've seen that enough times in the career to say, that's just what he is, dog. You just need to get a crazy amount of help. Everybody's got to be elite for us to win. Then we're saying you got a caretaker then. You don't got an elite quarterback. Like, it's confusing to me. But the whole thing of this video is, while I've been doing all that talking, I just had to get that off my chest. The Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott divorce has to happen, in my opinion. And here's the reason why. It's going to be the same thing next year if you keep Kellen Moore. It's not going to change. I don't care what other receiver you get opposite CeeDee Lamb. I don't care if you resign Tony Pollard. I don't care what you do. It's going to be the same thing. These dudes have, the way I say Dak has peaked, these two have peaked together. I mean, first Kellen Moore came in as a quarterback's coach. He ain't no quarterback's coach. Y'all just promoting. He wasn't no quarterback's coach. Who is quarterback? Who is Kellen Moore mentoring as a quarterback's coach? I'm just saying, and you were Dak's peer, like, that would be weird to me. You was a quarterback with me, then the next year all of a sudden you my quarterback's coach, now you my offensive coordinator. Nobody talks about it, but I feel like that's just a weird dynamic. It just feels like a weird dynamic. It feels like that room is weird. I don't know that they're talking glowingly about each other all the time, but they're going to say the right things. And I just feel like this offense, we talk about the route concepts with Kellen Moore and how, he does the goofy calls at the wrong time. And when he gets a lot of pressure, to me, just like that, he folds. Like when it's a game like the Bucks where it's kind of tough, but it ain't super pressure, he call his ass off. But when it comes to them real games, he tighten up, just like Dak, in my opinion. And then you start seeing all kind of bad play calling, nervous play calling, what the hell you doing play calling. And it's almost like it's going to be this same thing with him and Dak. I don't feel like that is changing. And if people want to talk so much about what they want to see with Dak, get that last remnant of Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan out of here. Because that's the last bit of the tree. Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore. You got two of them out. I don't know why you holding on to Kellen Moore, because Dak ain't going nowhere. You signed him just a couple years ago, and that cap hit gonna be heavy. He got a no trade clause, so he ain't getting traded. He's not getting released. They're not cutting him. They're not doing none of that. So he's gonna be the quarterback at least a few more years. And if you have Kellen Moore in here too, it ain't gonna work. It's gonna be the same thing. You might have a whole lot of offense, a whole lot of numbers, a whole lot of points, but a whole lot of nothing at the end of the year. That's what it is. This is what's going to be. It's going to be the same thing next year with them two are together again. I feel like that divorce has to happen, and let's see what another coordinator can do. But here's my problem with that. Will that coordinator come into Dallas and be able to have free reign? Will he? Or will they be micromanaged by the upstairs front office? You get what I'm saying? That's why I feel like coordinators don't come here, because they're not going to have that free reign. That's why I said the Mike Shanahan's and what's the dude from the Rams? I can't remember his name. I don't care. But I feel like those type of top coordinators won't come to Dallas because their philosophies are going to get smothered and taken away. And the reason why Kellen Moore stays here is because he's a yes man. I feel like Kellen Moore is a yes man to them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll do whatever you want. That's why he stays here. And as long as they're scoring 25 to 30 points a game and doing this and doing that, I don't know where they change, but I feel like it has to for the beneficial of Dak and the Cowboys, because it's going to be nothing but heartache and failure again as long as those two guys are together. And Mike McCarthy, I don't even think he wanted him, but he had to take him. So you had a forced coordinator on you. So you really don't, y'all probably not even cool. Y'all probably even got no dynamic. I don't ever hear him talking glowingly about no Kellen Moore. Like, it's almost like I got to take him, because I'm the coach here, so I got to deal with him. But that don't mean that dynamic is good. It don't seem like that dynamic is good. And it just seems like it's not going to get better as long as he stays here. And you don't have to have no loyalty to Kellen Moore for real, do you? And I ain't even hating on Kellen. But you don't have to have no loyalty to him. You cut him loose. Why are you so on Kellen Moore that you got to keep him in the program? Okay? So we'll kind of just see how that goes on. But I just feel like that divorce, it needs to happen. Because these type of things are going to happen. You're going to play real good in the regular season, and you're going to get to the playoffs, and you're going to clam up again. You got 2 years in a row where the first year in the playoffs, last year when you played the Niners, Kurt Warner and everybody was busting Kellen Moore out, right? Dak didn't play the greatest, but it was a lot of Kellen Moore. Same concepts, short routes, crossing routes, ends. I mean, just the basic stuff that all the teams see it. They're sitting on the routes. The teams were sitting on the routes. They weren't scared. They weren't scared to be challenged vertically. They weren't scared of anything. They weren't scared of the guys that were out there. So they were just sitting on it knowing what you were going to do. As a play caller, you got to be able to come out of that and change that. You know what I mean? So that first San Francisco game, you say, that was Kellen. This second game, you say it's Dak. So where does it get better from here? How is it going to be any different from this game, this last game, and last year? Tell me how it's going to be different when it's a big game. Now, let's say you playing a okay team in the playoffs. Yeah, you'll get away with it. You'll get away with that win. But when you play those dogs, you're not going to get away with that. You get what I'm saying? You're not. You're not going to get away with those goofy concepts, and you're not going to get away with that kind of play from the quarterback. You're going to lose. So, to me, it's just got to be a split. But once again, if there really is a split, who do they really go get? And you should have never got rid of Jon Kitna. I was screaming that when Jon Kitna got hired. I wrote an article about him. Article was on fire too. I wrote an article how as soon as they hired Jon Kitna, that was the best thing they needed to do for Dak, because I felt like he could really relate like to Dak better than Bill Nuschmeyer or Kellen Moore. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I believe that Jon Kitna is going to bring more life to you. So number one, you got to get a better quarterback coach. And number two, I just feel like you got to get an offensive coordinator that is allowed to call it the way he wants and not be a yes man. Because when you got that yes man, you can't really do what you want, and you can't really be who you want, and that offense can't really have an identity because you're really bowing down to the powers that be because maybe you want this job. So I don't know. It seemed like I did a lot of rambling right quick. Maybe I did. I was hella frustrated yesterday, and I can honestly tell you I was emotional yesterday. I hadn't been emotional all year, but yesterday was an emotional day for me because that game meant a lot to me. I really felt like we were going to beat the Niners. Like I really, really felt we were going to beat them. That's why it's disappointing today, because we should have beat them. You know, this wasn't a game where you're like, damn, we got our ass kicked. This ain't the game last year. We kicked their ass this year. Defensively, we stomped them. We kept them in check. And we dropped the ball again. So, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, people are like, oh, let's draft, get a receiver, let's get more offense. It ain't going to change. As long as you got Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott together, you can get 75 receivers, 62 tight ends, and all that good stuff, and it's still going to be the same. Do not be deceived. Just like I said, you know, and I've gone back and forth when I said Cowboys were never going to go to another Super Bowl, because I don't believe a owner who comes out the gate and wins 3 Super Bowls and then goes 20-something years without winning them, all of a sudden starts winning again. I just don't believe that happens in sports. That's why I believe they don't do it. But since I don't know the future, I try to have hope. But deep down inside, I'm like, they ain't going back. And then I see this and I'm like, see? You know, every time I think, like, maybe it might be different, bam, the reality comes back. Nope, Jay, you was right. So that's just my quick thoughts on this. We'll talk some more during the week, but you know, all I'm gonna say is this in ending. You know, I'm not backtracking on Dak. I love him. I got love for him. I can't say I love him. I don't know the man, but I got love for him. I think he's a really good guy. I think he's a great leader. I think people respect him. He's a good quarterback, but he's not no elite quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's not elite, and he needs a lot of things to be helping him, because I just don't feel like he can put a team on his back and carry it. He got to have all kind of things, and I feel like sometimes it got to be perfect for him to win, and I don't feel like that happens in the NFL. So that's why I get frustrated, because I wonder, is it ever going to be any different when I feel like this is who he is now? This is year 7. Ain't all of a sudden he's going to be something totally different. Even with Geno Smith came back, comeback player of the year he might, came back out of nowhere after being obligatory. Geno Smith still ain't winning you nothing. He might come back and play good because he has some good coaching, but Geno Smith is Geno Smith. And eventually, as you saw in that game, you're going to see it. You get what I'm saying? So Geno Smith might have came back and played like world beaters, but Geno Smith, we know what you are, and nobody fears it. And this is what I worry about with Dak. People know who you are, and they don't fear you. They don't fear when you come to the line of scrimmage. Oh, Dak is coming to the line of scrimmage. I don't feel like teams feel that way. I don't feel like players feel that way. I don't feel like people are scared of the Cowboys offense, even though it may score a lot of points. And I don't feel like a lot of teams are scared of Dak Prescott. And I feel like that's a problem. And I feel like, as long as that is going on, Dallas is going to be a talented team year in and year out, win a lot of games, but ain't going to win the big important ones. Maybe that'll change, but I don't know. I don't know the future, so maybe it can change. But the way I feel and the way I've seen, I don't think it is. But that divorce of Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott needs to happen. Probably won't happen, but that needs to happen so we can see something else with Dak, because he's always had the Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett is the coach. Scott Linehan, Kellen Moore. You always had that little tree right there. Let's see another tree and let's see what happens. Okay? So that's just my quick thoughts. And no, I didn't run away from anything. And no, I don't dislike my quarterback, or I don't dislike Dak. I'm just telling you what it is. Don't think he's the guy that can put everything on his shoulders and win it. I don't think he's that dude. But yeah, you can still go to a chip with him, but you got to have everything around it. He's not the guy to really just do it by himself. So we'll see, man. But those are just my thoughts. I put the headphones on because people said they couldn't hear me, so that's why I'm wearing. I hope you can hear me. And tell me what you think about the video. All right? Big Game James, I'm out. I'll be talking to y'all this week. Best of Enemies podcast, I think, is going down tomorrow. Make sure you're in there because I know I'm going to get the business. Peace.